My name's Chris Priebe. I'm one of the pastors at Missio Dei Communities in Peoria.
My name is Gillespie. For almost 13 years, I served at Christ Church of the Valley in Northwest Phoenix. And on September 19th, 2015, we partnered with other churches around the valley to serve schools. Today, I'm meeting with Chris Priebe to talk about the experience of that day. So tell me about how you were meeting at a school and then had found out that there was a bunch of churches getting together and they were going to start serving schools. And tell me how you found out, and then what you thought, oh, this could be cool, or what happened next.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing we did when we knew we were going to be meeting at a school, which a lot of new churches have to do because they can't afford building campaigns and things like that, is, hey, if we're going to be at this public space and we say that we're engaging in God's mission of bringing good news to our community, then we've got to start building relationships right away with the school. And so in doing that, just going into the office and simply introducing ourselves and asking what their needs are, we immediately saw that they already were being served by other churches. And so that was the first indicator, like, there's something already going on here in our valley. And then through other relationships we've had with other churches like Pure Heart, meeting Tracy Bill, started finding out about School Connect and this plan to implement Love Our Schools Day, getting churches all over the valley serving schools together on the same day. Just totally spoke to my heart and how we want to be the church to our community around us. So it really was just a matter of relationships, having relationships with the community around us and also having relationships with our church family and even other churches by different names. CCV was also very involved with Arrowhead. What were some of the things that CCV was doing with Arrowhead?
Well, we have a neighborhood group ministry. We had a couple neighborhood groups in the area, and they had already built somewhat of a relationship with the administration of the school. So they were coming in and serving them in various ways. So you find out that there's this Love Our Schools Day thing that's going to happen, and then you know that there's other churches that are in the area. How did you reach out and how did you coordinate all that?
Basically, I just started calling up people I knew, friends, shooting out emails, so just started calling them up, inviting them to Love Our Schools Day meetings, telling them about it. It was a little harder that first year because no one knew what Love Our Schools Day was then. But when they got this message that, oh, there's the church in the West Valley is wanting to come together and really make an impact on our schools for the sake of our kids, for the sake of our communities, it became an easy sell. So what was your experience like connecting those neighborhood groups with a smaller church to love on that school, love on that community?
Well, this was where Love Our Schools Day really is a unique approach to serving schools among the church body, in that instead of you going with your church to whatever school your church happens to be sponsoring, you just go to the school that's participating in Love Our Schools Day that happens to be closest to where you are. So just naturally, almost by default, some smaller churches will have people in the same area, some larger churches will have people in the same area. So everyone kind of just ends up being in the same school, and then you find out, wow, there's other Christians here.
Yeah.
And they all have kids that go to the school. Sometimes our kids might be friends with their kids and we didn't even know it. So now we can really start to get involved at the school, and we've got partners right in the community that already have an investment in the school that can add value and can really be the hands and feet of Christ to people that may be far from Him.
Yeah. So Gary, what excites you the most about Love Our Schools Day?
What excites me the most is that Love Our Schools Day can just be the beginning of what could be happening between churches and schools in the valley.
So what would you say to, let's say, another small church that wants to get involved on Love Our Schools Day, but they might feel like a CCV or some other big church has already kind of got that territory?
So for smaller churches, it's almost an easier on-ramp for them to get involved in schools because they're only going to be close to one or two schools to pick from. So it's it's good for their members that already live around that area. They can just focus on the school that they want to focus on. And if there's other churches that are involved there already, more than likely, if you reach out to them, they're going to welcome the help. Because in many cases, larger churches, well, they've got 15 or 20 churches that they're trying to figure out how they're going to get people to, or how they're going to get involved in this area over here. So a lot of times, the small church actually will take the lead, and then the large church will actually fall underneath what the small church is doing in order to give that small church space really to build that relationship. So it's really a cool thing to see when it works like that.
Yeah.
So in the case of, you served at a couple different schools, and there were a couple of either it was miscommunications or things that happened, and how was it good for the project, for the community, for your church to have already built those relationships with the other churches when things came up?
You just start to fill in the gaps, right? When there's holes, the church gets to come together and meet those needs and fill those holes together. So I was able just to call you up when I found out that a school wasn't going to get served that day, knowing that you had greater resources than we had. I was willing to go there myself that next day, but that was already cutting down our workforce at Arrowhead Elementary by quite a bit. So just giving you a quick call, and what I found is I realized it never hurts to ask, right? And it's much simpler than you might think. And I found that people are much more willing in the body of Christ than you would expect them to be. So just a quick call to you and was like, yeah, let me get on the phone real quick with, this person who I know is in this neighborhood group over there. And I think it was maybe an hour later, I got a call from that neighborhood pastor because you connected us. And they said, let me see what we can do. And they got it worked out. And so having those relationships already established between the churches meant that for this school, they weren't getting left out. They were getting their needs met that day because the church had unity. So how has Love Our Schools Day personally impacted you?
Really love our Schools Day. It's you know what you're getting when you plan these types of events. You're going to see a lot of people working on things. You're going to see a lot of collaboration, see a lot of shovels moving, a lot of dirt flying. But what I wasn't expecting to see was the impact that it had on the principals of the schools that I visited during Love Our Schools Day, where they remarked on, wow, this is people from all different churches, and there's no agenda here except to serve the school. Mm-hmm. And I think that really impacted them a lot, and their reaction really had an impact on me. I saw that as a really positive experience. So what we learned from this is that one church can make a big difference, but when we work together as the body of Christ, it's amazing what God can do when it's not just us working for our own efforts. So this year, Love Our Schools Day in 2016 is going to be pretty amazing. I'm really looking forward to it, and we would really encourage anyone that's watching this to really get involved.
John 13, Jesus says that the world will know we're his disciples by our love for one another. Now, when your community sees your love for the people in your church that all have the same logo and branding, you're all in similar stages of life, you all look similar, that's not so amazing. It's not that uncommon, really. It's like any other social group in our country. But when our community starts to see a diverse group of people, even people who meet in different buildings, have different branding, go by different names, but see that we're all united through Christ and his love for us, that becomes a great story to tell. Who doesn't want to love our kids?